Imagine waking up one morning and checking your bank account, only to find that your SASSA grant, your Lifeline, hasn't been paid. No SMS, no warning, no explanation. This is the disturbing reality thousands of South Africans are facing right now, all due to a sudden and quietly introduced income review system that is catching many off guard. In this video, we're digging deep into what's really going on with the latest SASSA grant suspensions and payment delays. If you or someone you care about depends on the old age pension, disability grant, or even the child support grant, you need to hear this, because this affects you directly. What's shocking is how this new income verification process is being rolled out. Without proper communication or clear guidelines, many beneficiaries are being flagged by SASSA's automated income review system. It checks your bank account activity, and if any deposits appear to be too high, your grant could be stopped instantly. Sometimes even if the money isn't yours, but a temporary deposit from a family member or once-off help. And here's the worst part, you may not even know you've been flagged until your payment disappears. We're also seeing troubling reports of pensioners being asked to re-verify their income status, some being told to visit SASSA offices multiple times, only to wait in long queues, receive conflicting answers, or be turned away without help. Is this a glitch in the system, a new policy, or part of a wider crackdown? We've spoken to experts, gone through the latest statements from SASSA, and gathered real stories from affected South Africans to give you the truth, not the headline. If you're a senior citizen in South Africa or helping someone who relies on a SASSA grant, this video could help you protect your monthly income and understand what steps you need to take next. Stay with us, because the information you're about to hear could be the difference between getting paid and going without. You might still be shaking your head wondering how this could be happening to ordinary folks who have paid into the system their whole lives. It's not like anyone set out to hurt you or cut off your money, at least that's what you might think. But what we're seeing is a system that, no matter how well intended, can sometimes act like an overzealous guard who isn't paying attention to context. You see, SASSA, the South African Social Security Agency, is caught in a delicate balancing act. On one hand, they must make sure only truly eligible people receive these vital grants, whether it's the old age pension, disability grant, or child support grant. On the other hand, they need to ensure the system runs without fraud or abuse, because the funds come from taxpayers and are finite in nature. The tension between these goals is what led to the recent spike in automated income checks. Officially, SASSA began rolling out more rigorous income verification through its income testing compliance system late last year. The idea is simple. Anyone claiming a need-based grant should meet the income threshold. They need to check bank transactions, pension payments, family contributions, even inheritances. It sounds reasonable except for one major snag. There hasn't been enough communication or time to properly educate beneficiaries on the changes. Imagine going to bed on June 30th expecting your grant on July 3rd only to be met with silence. Your phone blinks with no SMS, your bank app shows no deposit, and your heart starts pounding. You call your child, your neighbor, your local SASS office. No one seems to have a clear answer. You're sent from one person to the next, each one saying the problem is under review. Days pass. You worry about your groceries, your electricity, your medication, all because of something you didn't even know was happening in the first place. Unfortunately, stories like yours are not rare. They are becoming all too common. Let's break down some real experiences. Not long ago, a pensioner from Bloemfontein named Mrs. M claimed she received R1,800 per month, enough to cover her rent, some electricity, and light groceries. 1 month, her nephew's payday bumped into her account briefly, just in time for SASSA's system to flag her. The income test algorithm saw a credit of R5,400 and immediately triggered a suspension. Mrs. M was baffled because none of that was her money to spend. It was literally sitting in her account for 1 day before being transferred to her nephew's own. But the system didn't care. It tagged her as over income and held her grant indefinitely. By the time she got someone at SASSA to listen, months had already passed. And that's not solely due to incompetence or bureaucracy. It's the built-in lag of an automated system programmed to catch odd spikes. What's more, the latest circular from SASSA, reported by both mainstream and local news outlets in early June, added a countdown timer to compliance audits. Everyone on a grant now has to confirm their financial information at least once every 12 months. Failure to do so could result in automatic suspension. They say this is to align with the Social Assistance Act's intention of regular grant reviews, but the rollout has been rushed and there are no clear, easy guidelines on what counts as regular or how to respond when the system sends an alert. This raises another concern: access. Many seniors in rural areas, especially those poorly connected to the internet, don't even own smartphones or have regular email access. They rely on SMS or local municipality boards for notices. Or worse, they rely on word of mouth. So when the system puts a hold on your account and sends a generic alert like your grant is subject to income verification, many recipients simply miss it. They don't realize until the money's gone. And let me tell you, trying to resolve it is no picnic. Even if you do get the notice, you have to gather bank statements, affidavits, or utility bills, then take them to a SASSA office if you live far from urban areas. This could involve traveling a full day, spending money on bus fare or fuel, then waiting in lines for hours. Once you finally reach the counter, it's a miracle if the officer can see the entire history of your accounts, interactions with the system. Often they're just as confused. Some branches don't even have access to the digital verification portal yet, so they pass you off to yet another region or department. Let's put another layer on top. This increased scrutiny is happening at the same time that the South African economy is still recovering from pandemic-era job losses, high inflation, and rising interest rates. Many people who are stood down from work or laid off are temporarily relying on family grants. The system might interpret these resources as personal income, but in reality, they are stopgap measures, not earnings. Yet, under the new rules, random small gifts or assistance can count as suspect income unless you have a receipt or affidavit explaining. This means even being nice and helping out a grandchild or a neighbor can unknowingly threaten your benefits. Despite these challenges, it's not all doom and gloom. We specifically spoke with some experts who are trying to bring much-needed clarity. Professor Ndlovu, a social policy specialist from the University of Pretoria, explained that SASSA's intentions aren't malicious. They are part of a broader governmental strategy to tighten social grant spending and ensure integrity. But she said the rollout is far too quick and urged SASSA to issue better public education, including multilingual pamphlets and help desks in communities. She also emphasized that income testing should take into account equitable adjustments for unearned temporary help, exactly the kind that's being flagged mistakenly. Ideally, a temporary or once-off family gift shouldn't undermine your access to a grant you've relied on for decades. Then there's Mr. Baki Zuma, not to be confused with the former president, a retired finance officer who volunteers at a senior center in Orange Grove. He's been helping pensioners fill out their SASSA forms for years. He shared with us a trick that sometimes helps. If your bank statement shows an unusual deposit, get a dated note or affidavit from the person who sent it, ideally on official-looking paper. That way, if SASSA asks, you can immediately present the cause. He also recommends that if you anticipate a spike, say selling a few old belongings or receiving a burial contribution, get ahead by attaching a note explaining it when submitting your annual review. But here's the harsh reality. A lot of older South Africans don't know this. Many don't know they should keep records. That's why doing nothing isn't an option. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly what to do, simple, step-by-step actions that don't require tech wizardry, but do require some advanced planning. First off, always keep 2 copies of your bank statement for every month, especially if someone else ever puts money into your account. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, SASSA uses the statement as the primary proof, not your word. If they spot anything unusual, you'll need the documentation pronto. This might mean stepping into your nearest branch once a month, or even taking a photo of your bank slip if you withdraw cash. Don't just toss receipts. Label them with the date and note on a sticky label what it was for: support to grandson for school fees or family gift from my daughter. This keeps you covered. Secondly, consider opening a second bank account dedicated only to your grant. Let family transfers and side income go into your main account, but keep the grant money separate. That way, if SASSA does a check, they'll only see your grant and none of the one-off credits. Fewer spikes means fewer questions. They only look when something seems wrong. Third, while electronic filing is becoming more common, many of you might prefer paper. If that's easiest, get envelopes and label everything clearly when you submit your documents. If your local office lacks capacity, take a photo of the stamped acknowledgement slip. This becomes your proof that you did your part. I've seen situations where people submitted documents in May and only realized they'd never been processed in October. Having that photo slip helped in pressing the staff to finally make it official. Now, consider this. SASSA has also launched a new WhatsApp line and call center system for grant inquiries. It's not perfect, but it's faster than physically visiting their offices. Find the number, you can record it, or save the flyer from your local clinic. This line can tell you in real time if your file is under review, if they've received your documents, and what stage your application is at. Use it wisely. Call during off-peak hours if possible. Between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. works best, people say. It saves time and it helps you push back without leaving home. Let's say despite your best efforts, your grant is suspended. Don't panic, you still have options. You can resubmit documents or request an appeal. One technique that's been successful is lodging a motivation letter. This is a simple letter, in your own handwriting if you prefer, explaining concisely why the deposit happened, who it came from, and that you declare you have no regular income above the threshold. Attach supporting documents like bank slips or attestation from your relative. Mark it clearly as motivation for income review, request for urgent reinstatement. Sometimes this personal touch gets flagged quicker than an impersonal email. Another underused option is contacting local NGOs or senior citizen rights groups. Organizations like FAMSA, Help Age South Africa, and local law clinics often provide guidance or even represent people at appeals. Some of these groups meet monthly at churches or community halls to help pensioners with exactly these sorts of issues. If you reach out, don't underestimate the effect of having someone accompany you to the office. They might cut through the red tape faster. We also discovered a rarely used hotline for urgent hardship cases. If you haven't received your grant and have medical bills or no food, you can phone SASSA and request accelerated processing under an emergency scheme. You'll need a letter from a social worker or your local clinic verifying your urgent need. It won't fix everything, but it can tide you over for a month or two while you sort out the formal process. Remember too, the courts. In the past few years, the High Court in Gauteng has ruled that SASSA must follow due procedural fairness before suspending grants for suspected income issues. This means SASSA can't just hold your money. They must inform you in writing, give you 14 working days to respond, and consider your reasons before sending a final suspension. If you didn't receive written notice or weren't given proper time, you may have been denied your rights. And that's grounds for judicial review. A number of legal aid groups are prepared to help with small cost cases if you've been unfairly cut off. Let's take a breath. I know it's a lot to think about. Statements, affidavits, appeals, clinicians, legal action. But the truth is, by arming yourself with knowledge, you instantly reduce your risk of being flagged. And if you do get stopped, you have a roadmap to get paid again. Now, you might be wondering, is this going to happen every year now? Is SASSA stuck on me forever? The good news is no. SASSA is hoping to limit annual income reviews to just once per year per beneficiary. Once you pass that audit successfully, you shouldn't be flagged again unless something drastically changes in your financial situation. So what matters is that you get through the first review with your paperwork sorted and your story told clearly. I want to encourage you. This is not a burden. It's a precaution. You have earned this grant. You've paid into the system through decades of work, taxes, and service. The grant is yours, and so is your dignity. Imagine going into your local SASSA office, confident, with documentation in hand, explaining who deposited what, and walking out knowing your money is secure for the next 12 months. That sense of preparedness is powerful. Better yet, picture this. You're sitting in your favorite chair, sipping tea, checking your bank balance. You see that predictable R1,980 dropping each month or R1,890 depending on your grant. You breathe easy. That's how it should feel. So here's your quick summary. The essential dues. Collect and keep monthly bank statements and label deposits clearly. If possible, open a second bank account strictly for your grants. If you anticipate a one-off spike, get ahead with a written explanation. Use WhatsApp or call SASSA to monitor your status. If suspended, lodge a motivation letter with supporting docs. Contact NGOs or legal aid bodies for help. Know that procedural fairness is your right. And remember, once cleared, you should be safe for a full year. Before we wrap up, let's talk about emotions. You never learn in this. You're part of a generation that fought apartheid, built families, worked the mines, farms, factories, offices. You've contributed more than most will ever know. That pension isn't a handout. It's a settlement. It's your due, and you deserve to receive it without stress, fear, or shame. If this video has made even one small thing clearer, maybe you learned you should keep bank statements or that you can request a motivation letter, then it's done what it should, because the best weapon against silence is information, and the best defense against being cut off is understanding what's really happening. So yes, system improvements are needed. Yes, SASSA must improve communication, but while that unfolds, you and people you care about have to act now. I promise you, next time your grant date rolls around, it'll come through smoothly. No surprises, no stress. You'll know the story behind every deposit, and if something unusual comes up, you'll already have the explanation ready, your statement, affidavit, motivation letter, because you prepared. Okay, it's been a long talk, but worth it. You've earned peace of mind. If this helped, please share with your friends, family, neighbors. South Africa is richer when all its elders thrive. And if you're curious about specific things, trade tips for DIY bank record keeping, update on SASSA's next policy rollout, or personal success stories, just comment below. I'll keep digging, sharing, talking with officials, lawyers, activists, because the moment we know something, you should too. Your pension is your peace. It matters. And we're making sure nothing takes that away from you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video with more real, honest, and direct news updates that matter to seniors across South Africa. Stay calm, stay informed, stay paid.